need to find some witnesses.
Well, I don't have nothing to say to y'all at all.
I found a total of 7 gunshot wounds to his body.
It's a major piece of the puzzle. It gives us an opportunity to get our hands on this guy.
You've wasted hour after hour of my time.
We'll use whatever it takes to get it done.
The police will catch you. You will go to jail.
All right, I'm going to let you go so you can talk to them.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
We just received a call from police radio to respond to a location of a dead black male believed to be a Brandon Griffin. He's lying out in front of his grandmother's house.
Detective Mike Smith and his partner, Detective Wally Everett, have worked over 25 homicide cases together.
Apparently people heard gunshots last night, but weren't able to locate anything until late this afternoon when a neighbor spotted the victim laying in the bushes outside of his grandmother's home.
Detective Everett was a police officer in Detroit before moving to Cleveland 26 years ago.
Grandmother then called 911, and we're going to go out there and investigate.
About 20 till 5 this evening, we got a call for a body found, DOA. Looks suspicious in nature, so I'm here with the homicide unit to process the scene, gather evidence, and take it from there, see what we can come up with. The bushes wouldn't provide any cover, just some maybe concealment, but he's a big guy.
When we got here, we found the victim laying behind the hedges. He's a rather large male. I was told that he was around 400 pounds. Apparently, he's only 17 years old. There were some shell casings, which were located on the walkway adjacent to the house. All the casings along the sidewalk kind of tells us where the person was who did the shooting and how this occurred. So our shooter had to be standing out here, and our victim, Brandon, had to be standing on the porch. And the momentum of the shots had to take him over the side of the porch. There's blood on the back of his pants, and we have to wait for the coroner's office to come roll him over.
RP3. Yep. Homicide had located the shell casings prior to my arrival. All I did was mark them with my numbers so that we can catalog them into evidence.
Same thing. Winchester Western, WW380 Auto. What we're looking for now is just to determine whether or not one caliber weapon was used.
From the caliber of the shell casings, detectives can determine whether there may have been multiple weapons and multiple shooters.
You only get one shot at it, and I'd like to do it as thorough as possible so that I'm comfortable when I leave that if there's anything of value here that I've collected it.
Right now we're treating it as a homicide. Hopefully we'll get some answers for the grandmother that lives there.
They shooting in my house. I thought they were shooting in the house. And that's what made me run downstairs screaming for him. He was a big, gentle giant, that's all. I look forward to my grandson going to college and being a teacher or whatever he wanted to be. And he had that in his mind. Since he was 10, I never had no problem with him. And then somebody to just drive by and take his life, oh, I can't see that.
The victim's still on scene. Picked out 3 locations that we're going to use to set up the scan station to scan this scene. With this technology, we can freeze the crime scene in time. It preserves the crime scene in 3D forever. We've scanned the body to get a full understanding of its final resting place. We've also scanned the shell casings to understand their relationship to the crime scene. Now that we've scanned the scene with the body and the shell casings, the coroner's here to take Brandon away.
Do you think we can get him onto the cot?
Before we get over there,
if you think you can, yeah.
When you kill somebody, they dead forever. They're not coming back like you see on the TV. They dead forever. We suffer behind that.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I'm going to go in the house and see if I can find any more evidence or clues.
Well, there were at least 7 shots fired, and it was early in the evening. Someone must have heard something, so what we're going to do is canvass the neighborhood and try and find some witnesses. Police wanted to talk to you and see if you heard anything. Were you home around 7 o'clock yesterday evening? No. No, not at all? No. A lot of people don't like to give you their names. They're afraid somebody's going to come back and get them, and it's getting tougher and tougher to work these.
Typical young man's room.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You don't feel like an intruder.
No, just go ahead. I'm on fire.
Rob. Says love Rob.
That's Robert. That's his friend.
I'm going to bring this letter with me. It just might help us with the investigation.
Grandmother mentioned that Brandon's car is here, so we're going to take a look for any evidence.
We got some weird stuff in the back of this truck.
Well, Sergeant Rowley and Detective Rayner located a pair of size 13 wide gold pumps in the back seat of the victim's truck. So either he has a very large girlfriend or he lives a little bit different lifestyle.
Yeah, and I also found a letter upstairs addressed to the victim that says, love Rob.
We'll have to investigate and find out.
Yeah, you right about that.
The most important evidence recovered here this evening were the 7 shell casings we located on the walkway. They would indicate that this was a homicide. Since all of the casings were .380 caliber, it's safe to assume that the weapon used was a .380 caliber gun. So now we've got to dig up some leads if we want to identify the murder weapon and the suspect or suspects who are responsible for Brandon Griffin's death.
We just received a call to respond to a location of a dead black male believed to be a Brandon Griffin.
When we got here, we found the victim laying behind the hedges.
Winchester Western, BW00d Auto.
He was a big, gentle giant, that's all.
Detective Rayner located a pair of size 13 wide gold pumps. We'll have to investigate and find out.
Yeah.
We're now en route to the coroner's office.
One thing I'd like to know is what killed this young man.
If he fell over that porch, he could have broke his neck. We just don't know at this point.
This is the summary of the autopsy. I found a total of 7 gunshot wounds to his body, and we concluded the manner of his death is homicide.
Doctor, out of all those bullets that struck our victim, how many would you say were fatal?
I'd say 4 of them would be fatal. one gunshot wound entered the front of the left front chest. Another gunshot wound was located in the left front abdomen near the kidney region. Another one in the left front abdomen. Another gunshot wound also was in the left lower abdomen. As far as the ones which entered the chest and the abdomen, they crisscrossed. They all went from left to right and upward. This is the bullet.
So medium caliber.
Yeah, medium caliber, jacketed bullet. Only one was slightly deformed. The rest were all intact. The wounds that entered the left forearm, the back of the left thigh, and the buttocks, they were not fatal. He had scrapes on his forehead and a scrape on the right side of his nose, and he had a scrape on his elbow. Those were the injuries he had.
Really, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Now that Dr. Balraj has ruled us a homicide, we got to start looking for the people who might be able to help us with this investigation. The combination of the letter signed Love Rob, plus with those size 13 shoes in the car, the high heel pumps, the gold pumps, would indicate that there was some kind of down-low action probably going on.
Well, we can't assume anything, because you know what assume means.
You make an ass out of you and me, but it wouldn't be the first time.
There is some link between our victim and this gentleman. This is a letter we found on the victim's dresser. It's very flowery looking. Most guys don't have that nice of a penmanship. He's telling the victim that he's met somebody else that he wants to be friends with him, but he's seeing somebody else at this time. And at the bottom it says, Love Rob. All right. Now, this is a male we want to talk to. He found out that Brandon had two friends named Robert, and one of them may have written this letter. He might also know something about Brandon's murder. We tracked down one of his friends by the name of Robert Terry, and we're going to bring him in for questioning.
We are aware that there's a different lifestyle, and that some of that might have led up to the death of Brandon. So we don't want you to hold anything back. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But did you and Brandon never have a relationship? Do you know if he might have been involved with anybody by the name of Rob?
Him and Robert were friends, but he liked it, Robert, but Robert didn't like him. Robert only looked at him just as a friend. Robert and Brandon actually told me that they had wrote each other notes and stuff like that. You know, I guess expressing their feelings of how they felt about each other.
After speaking with Robert Terry, we've ruled him out as a suspect. It looks like he did not write the Love Rob letter. Brandon's other friend, Robert, did.
Detectives also rule out the other Robert as a suspect because of a new lead.
Robert Terry gave us some very important information that involves some transsexuals and a male named Maurice Greer.
Brandon told me he knew Maurice from school.
So he knew Brandon was gay?
Mm-hmm. He started to talk to Brandon about a girl he had met that goes by the name Kiki. And Brandon told him that she wasn't a girl, she was a man. And Kiki called
Maurice?
Maurice, yes. And asked Maurice, can he come see her? And he said yes. We got to Kiki house. Once we got there, Kiki and Maurice had went in the house. And me and Brandon just sat outside in the car. Kiki and Maurice had came out the house. Me and Brandon asked him what happened while he was up there. And he said she just gave him oral sex. And then after that, a few transsexuals had got Maurice's phone number. Maurice had got upset because he thought that Brandon had given them his phone number, which Brandon didn't.
Based on Robert Terry's statement, detectives need to find Kiki and her friends, as well as the possible suspect, Maurice.
Just as a refresher, what did we see at the crime scene?
Okay, what we found was the victim lying face down behind the bushes, DOA, with blood on his left back pocket.
I collected 7 spent casings at the scene on the path leading from the sidewalk up to the porch.
The markers are casings, correct?
Correct.
At this point, do we have any idea that there may have been more than one shooter?
At this point, I don't believe so. The spent casings found at the scene are all from the same caliber weapon and from the same manufacturer.
Okay. And they're 380s, correct?
And they're 380s.
Based on the coroner's report, the victim was shot from the front 4 times. The bullets entered his abdomen from the left and traveled up into the right, ending in his chest cavity.
Now, was he shot in the back too?
Yeah, there were 3 wounds to the back. One in his left buttock, one in his left thigh, and one in his left forearm, which carried him right over and behind the hedges.
That would coincide with having 2 spent casings here near the porch steps. Those could have been the final shots.
This was a bold act for this guy to come up by the victim's house and shoot him, then run away. This must have been somebody at the victim is known.
Robert Terry gave us some very good information about our victim and his down low lifestyle, and also some information about some transsexuals and this guy named Maurice Greer.
Great job so far, you guys.
Detectives Everett and Smith learn that there is a candlelight vigil tonight for Brandon. They head over in hopes of finding Kiki, Chanel, and Cece, or even their suspect, Maurice.
Father God, we're just coming to you tonight, just in memory of Brandon.
All we're going to do is keep an eye on a couple of guys that we've already gotten statements from, see if they recognize anybody that might be a person of interest.
To my left over here are 2 of the individuals that we want to speak with.
One in the black and white coat and one in a short black jacket.
Right.
I'm just getting this angle so make sure they don't walk away.
Do we want to kill our Brandon? Yes! Brandon was a good boy. Brandon was not out here doing nothing. Brandon was on his way to college.
Well, my message right now is to the person that did this. I hope guilt and shame is eating you from the inside out. And I just want you to know that the police will catch you. You will be caught. You will be brought to justice. You will go to jail.
Kiki, Chanel, I need to speak to all 3 of you. We're detectives from the homicide.
I don't have nothing to say to y'all at all. I'm about to get out here.
Good day, man. Excuse me a minute. Oh.
Good. Little, come on, let's go.
No. Okay. Come on, let's talk. We need to find out who killed this boy.
Oh, I don't know who killed him.
I need to ask you about Maurice. Did you have a relationship with Maurice? When we got here, we found the victim laying behind the hedges.
I found a total of 7 gunshot wounds to his body.
Father God, we're just coming to you tonight, just in memory of Brandon.
We need to find out who killed this boy.
Oh, I don't know who killed him.
Did you have a relationship with Maurice?
No.
You never were involved with him at all?
I had sex with him.
And did he talk to you at all about doing anything to Brandon?
No. Brandon and brother was mild.
I understand that part.
They was friends.
She said she's got to go.
She got to go.
It's sad that y'all don't want to cooperate because your friend got killed. You don't know what you might know. You might have information that we can use. We can't force you to stay.
Card, give me a call. Here's your purse.
We're really hopeful to get some pillow talk out of Kiki and tell us that Maurice said, yes, I killed him. You know, you shouldn't have fronted me off, whatever the reason is.
Well, I just talked to the one gentleman from Black on Black Crime. He gave me a little information. It all leads back to this Maurice.
We got to get a little more probable cause to go after this guy.
ultimate goal is to give this family justice because their loved one didn't deserve to die like that, no matter how he lived.
After the scene he created at the candlelight vigil, Quentin Harris, a.k.a. Chanel, has decided to come down and give us a statement. Hopefully anything he has to say will lead us to Maurice and help us in solving this crime. Okay, you told me earlier that Maurice goes by the street name Mo.
From what I overheard, Mo told Brendan that he was gonna kill him, but I don't know if it was a joking around thing or not. But Mo didn't like me because Mo got a lot of mouth. And I thought my mom would say, oh, you want to be some type of thug? And I was like, you ain't nothing but a fag. And he didn't like what I said. Y'all got internet, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I need to show y'all something.
Okay.
Some secrets.
Got a picture with a weapon. 380?
Yeah.
It was crazy how many guns these boys got. And this gang is like, there's no joke. They is for real. I got another appointment. I got another engagement.
Chanel, make sure you come back to sign your statement. Based on the photograph that Chanel showed us, I would say that Maurice is our primary suspect.
Once we start talking to Mo, or talk to some of his friends about his gay lifestyle, they might force him to have to come running to see us. He's dealing not only in the gang world, he's dealing in the gay world, so them two G's don't necessarily get along. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, must be a duck. The case is developing well. We need to get the gun. I would like to get the gun.
Unexpectedly, Detective Everett gets a major tip from a woman who claims she has a gun that their suspect Maurice gave to her son shortly after Brandon's murder.
It's a major piece of the puzzle because if it truly is the gun that we're looking for, we can prove that he is the one who committed this crime and we can put him away for a long time.
My son's girlfriend came and woke me up and said, Pastor needed to speak to me, and she had told the pastor that my son had a gun. And the pastor said, don't be alarmed. I just need to tell you Martell have a gun. And I said, what? So I just went to his trunk, opened the trunk, and I just got the gun.
This gun really looks like that gun in the photo Chanel showed us. The gun that was in Maurice's pants. .380. The young man was killed with a .380. So. Take care now. Have a good night. Okay. So now we've got the gun and the box of ammo. We'll have to send everything to the lab for fingerprints and ballistics testing. It's a .380. Step closer to Maurice.
We're at the forensics lab. We're going to have Linda Jones lift some fingerprints from the weapon and the cartridges in connection with our case here.
I want to super glue it first because the super glue will actually put a film over the fingerprint because of the amino acids that the person, if he was sweating, would actually leave that fingerprint.
Right.
And I will take the gun, the magazine, and this is the magazine from this weapon. We're going to go ahead and start the super glue process. What I'm going to do is turn the pump on. And now all the air is sucked out through the pump. While the gun lays dormant on the tray, the change in pressure triggers the fumes from the super glue. The vapors are invisible. While the vapors move around, the fumes actually fill up the entire chamber. The glue vapors are attracted to moisture, so if there's any latent oil residue from fingerprints on this gun, the glue vapors would adhere to the residue. I'm gonna go ahead, release the air that's been trapped in the vacuum tank. So I'm just taking a quick look. Now that the powder has been applied, I don't see anything. So at this point in time, there's no latent prints on the gun. The other evidence I need to do is the partial box of Remington 380 automatic cartridges.
Since this is the box of bullets that we recovered with the gun, I'm hoping that we can lift some fingerprints off of it.
Yeah, see it? Can you hold it up like that, and then I can be able just to, with the tape. So I'm gonna go back and look under the glass. Beautiful. Oh my God, these are fabulous fingerprints. Wow, look at that. God. They're awesome because you can see ridge detail. Now I'm gonna submit this to the examiners. So I'll put a rush on this. You've got to do every piece of evidence because if you don't do it, you don't know if you're gonna get a fingerprint. Good job. All right.
We're waiting for Chanel to come by and sign the statement that we took from her the other day, and we're waiting for Kiki to show up to give us his statement.
Been waiting here for several hours. We've got better things we could be doing. Their friend was killed, and they still haven't bothered to come down and do these statements and do the right thing for their friend. I'm sick of them. I think we're gonna have to arrest them for obstruction, get them in, get what we need, and then let them worry about it because they've wasted all our damn time. Let's waste some of theirs.
No more Mr. Nice Guy. We gotta do what we gotta do to get him down here.
I got a call from an off-duty officer who had 3 cross-dressers who were involved in our case. They had stopped them over there. They were loitering in Tower City. Because they had been avoiding us and wasting a lot of our time and a lot of investigative time, I decided that we would book them for obstruction.
Here's your...
You and you and you. You must be Sierra. That's Chanel. And you're Kiki. All of you have wasted my time. You've wasted hour after hour after hour of my time. We have more to do than sit and wait for you. I have a dead person. I'm not here to play with you guys.
Baby, I don't have no bus fare, no ride, no mental health.
You told me you were on the bus on your way here to see me. You never made it.
Okay.
So now you're going to be booked in for obstruction of justice because you haven't, all 3 of you, till you tell me what you know. And you already did yours. You never came back to sign it. All I asked you to do was come back and sign it.
Right.
You didn't bother that. It wasn't important enough. Brandon is dead. It wasn't important enough for you to come back and sign it. Now you're on my time. You got to do the right thing.
You lost control, Fred.
Let them sit in here for a few hours and rest on those hard benches and see how they feel when they talk to me tomorrow. Because I'll know where to find them. I came to get one of my girl guys.
Which one you need?
I need my statement from you today. I'm about to interview Kiki, who is one of the transsexuals who is alleged to have had sex with Maurice Greer. I hope to elicit from him whether Maurice says something that would implicate him as committing this crime. Frederick, F-R-E-D-R-I-C-K?
Yeah.
D, what's the D for?
Douglas.
Frederick Douglass.
No.
You know Brandon, right?
I didn't know him like that. I seen him out in the gay club like that, but
Didn't he bring Maurice over to your...
He brought Maurice up my house. I gave Maurice oral sex, and they left. And I never heard from Maurice again, or Brandon.
That was it?
That was it.
How'd you meet Maurice?
On MySpace. I said, well, baby, before we go any further, I would like to let you know that I am a transsexual. And then he paused for a minute.
So while you were talking on the phone?
Yeah. And then he said he don't care. I feel like he used me, baby, for my services and never wanted it no more.
Did you give Maurice's telephone number to any other transsexuals?
He gave it to all the other trainers.
How do you know that?
Because I was sitting right there when he gave the number to Cece on MySpace.
Did you ever hear Maurice say that he was going to kill Brandon?
I would say that Maurice is our primary suspect.
At point 380. We know that the young man was killed with a 380.
You've wasted hour after hour after hour of my time.
Did you ever hear Maurice say that he was going to kill Brandon?
They was friends. They was cool.
Did you kill Brandon Griffin?
Did I kill him? Hell no. Hell no, I ain't kill him. I'm scared of the killer the damn rope, less known the person.
Can you identify anyone in these photos?
I know. Let's know, baby.
What number is that?
2.
Put your name and the date next to that picture.
My girl name, my boy name.
Your boy name.
Hey, can you give you any good information on her boy?
She gave me some pretty good information, although none of them can actually put him on the scene. And until we find someone who can put him on the scene, we don't have enough to arrest this guy. So we'll just have to keep digging.
Just as detectives Everett and Smith think they're running out of leads, a community activist who spoke at the candlelight vigil convinces 2 witnesses to come forward.
People who he brought to us gave us good information. They saw Maurice Greer, our suspect, fleeing the scene. Maurice made some comments about murking somebody.
Well, when he said I murked somebody, that street term means I killed somebody or murdered somebody.
So it puts him on the scene. It gives us an opportunity to get him in.
The witnesses' statements give detectives probable cause to get a warrant for Maurice's arrest.
As soon as we get a warrant issued for anybody, then we contact the task force. I wouldn't want these guys looking for me. They're real good, they're professional, and they don't stop till they get you.
Step on.
You got him in this back room on the right.
Can you tell me where the search warrant is? Hey, I'm opening the front door.
My bad.
I hope to get a confession from Maurice. And that's why I'm going to use the angle of the being gay, being a gangbanger, supposedly. If he is a blood, and when I ask him, he has to claim it if he's a true blood. We'll use whatever it takes to get it done, as long as it's within the bounds of the law, of course. Maurice Greer, where? Let's go in here. I'm Detective Everett. This is Detective Smith from the Homicide Unit. They gave you $1 million bond this morning. You had a right to consult with a lawyer before answering any questions and to have a lawyer with you during any questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you free of cost if you want one. Do you understand your rights as I have explained them? Are you willing to talk with officers without consulting a lawyer or having a lawyer with you? All right. We'll be seeing a lot more of you. Short and sweet. Make a note, no phone privileges. Can't talk to nobody but his attorney. We expected that he would invoke his right to counsel, and he did it immediately. I think he's been around.
Now the detectives will have to wait until the ballistics test and fingerprint analysis can be done in order to connect Maurice to Brandon's murder.
Okay, we're about to go to our ballistics department now, and testifier this weapon that we recovered. Hopefully this will be the murder weapon. Morning, James.
What's going on?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right.
All right, good.
This is a high point 380 caliber semi-automatic pistol, one of the most common guns that come into the city of Cleveland that we recover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply test fire it. I'm going to use 2 of the bullets that were submitted along with this gun. And what I'm going to do is simply just fire this gun into a 900-gallon water tank. This is going to allow us to retrieve the test bullet in pristine condition. Now, what you can see is that you have rifling marks on the bullet. And our job is to take 1 bullet covered from the morgue and 1 bullet from the test fire and try to match the patterns up. Sometimes they look similar, but they aren't. As you rotate the bullet in the same direction, patterns will match. When we determine that these patterns on the test fire match the patterns from the crime scene, we can tell you that this weapon fired that bullet.
I'm just sitting with bated breath, hoping that these match up. I would say that Maurice is our primary suspect. We're going to have Linda Jones lift some fingerprints from the weapon and the cartridges in connection with our case here.
And our job is to take 1 bullet covered from the morgue and 1 bullet from the test fire and try to match the patterns up.
I'm just sitting with bated breath, hoping that these match up.
From a preliminary examination, these are a match. Yes, these were fired from this weapon.
So in essence, that probably is the murder weapon.
Yes, this is the weapon that fired that casing.
Good. That's some great news. I believe we have our murder weapon, and that's really huge. Now we're going upstairs to get the fingerprint analysis from the box of bullets that came with the gun. Hopefully Maurice's prints will be on there. So Michelle, what do we have here?
Well, we have 2 latent print lifts off of a black plastic live round holder. This is the latent print that is enough for me to work with.
The latent fingerprints from the box of bullets that came with the murder weapon will be compared with Maurice's fingerprints to determine a match.
In a rolled fingernail to nail, you're looking at about 75 to 150 points of identification. What I do is I find a starting point, and I'm going to start here at the delta because there's a lot of action. A point of identification is where the friction ridge ends. If it goes into a fork, that's called a bifurcation. If that goes back together, that's called an island. If it's just a short ridge kind of by itself, it's a short ridge. And if it's a dot, which is the same width as the ridges on both sides of it, that's a dot. So I'll start at number 1. He has several whirls and several loops. So that means I'm going to look at every single one of these and determine if each individual finger is him or not. Okay, so we have 2 lifts from the same box. And they are the suspect, Maurice Greer.
So those are the prints of Maurice Greer, and he cannot in any way say that he did not touch that ammo box.
No, he cannot.
Excellent. You do great work, young lady. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
This does a lot for our case because it at least shows that this guy had the ammunition box in his hand. I don't see how he can talk his way out of this.
After careful review of the evidence, detectives go over their theories about Brandon's murder.
Okay, now that Maurice Greer is arrested, bring me up to speed on what we got.
Well, Sarge, based on the grandmother's account, eyewitness reports, on the night of his murder, we can say that the shooting probably happened around 7:30 p.m.
Okay. Okay, did you guys get lab reports back as far as shell casings and bullets from the scene as well as the morgue?
There was a total of 7 shell casings found at the scene, all of the same manufacturer and caliber.
As I recall, there are 380s, right?
Right. The test fire of the bullet matches the recovered pellets from the coroner's office. The recovered firearm was processed. There was 2 latent prints lifted. Those latents matched up to Maurice Greer's.
We know that Brandon comes out of the house, and apparently he steps to the right side of the porch, at which time he probably exchanged some words with Maurice, who was down on the sidewalk, and then the shots were fired. Based on the coroner's report, 3 bullets that entered Brandon's abdomen traveled in from the left and up to the right and settled in his chest cavity. So the shooter must have been positioned well below where Brandon was, which would make sense about where the casings are that we found.
Brandon turned around to flee, and Maurice shoots him again. One bullet enters the left buttock, 1 bullet enters the left thigh, 1 bullet enters his left arm. Now, this is probably when he falls off the porch, falls into the hedges. That's where we find him face down the next day.
And Maurice begins to flee.
As I recall, there are 2 independent witnesses north of that.
Yes, he encounters 2 males, both independent of each other. And as he passes them, he says, I murked him, and murk means murder.
It's a new one on me. Well, you guys got this one pretty much sewn up.
Maybe we should go out here and talk to the grandmother and let her know that we've got this guy in jail and we plan on him staying there. What has happened since the last time I talked to you is that that a young man has been arrested. And he was arrested a couple of days ago. We charged him. So he'll be sitting in jail.
Is he the trigger man, or he had partners with him? Or, I mean, I'm not out for revenge. I'm not out for none of that. I just want justice done. So I'm an old school mother. What I said,
somehow we know that.
He was 6 feet and he weighed 400. But when I said move, he never gave me a minute's trouble.
Our satisfaction comes at the very end after he's convicted. When their knees buckle, when they're getting sentences, when you get the gratification.